Oh dear. Well, there's your problem, ladies and gentlemen. Hi guys, Lee here, welcome back to the channel. You join me today back at Aston Barclay as we are here to pick up the Mini Cooper, which we bought last week at auction. So if you haven't checked out that video, check out the link description below. So we're back at the auction today to get the keys and the paperwork and get the car out of the auction and get it back to the workshop. Once we've got it back there, we'll do a quick walk around it, see what we bought, go through it in more detail and work out what we're going to do with it and hopefully try and make a profit out of it. So all being well, it isn't a lemon, so let's go find the car, get it back to the workshop and see what we bought. Right, it's here somewhere. We've got the paperwork and we've got one key somewhere down here. 5A. That looks like it there. There she is. The Mini. Lot 59. I'll say we'll do a proper walk around in a sec. For now, let's just get it out. But tyres are all up, that's a good sign. Does it open on the key? Oh, we're in. Blimey, look at it. Look at the leather. Black and tan. Let's see if she starts. On the button. That'll do me. Any lights out? No warning lights. Good. Right, let's get it out. We'll get it back to the workshop hopefully and then we'll do a proper walk round. Right, here we are guys, got the car back to the workshop. I've just given it a quick blast off because the back rows today were absolutely rancid and the car's got completely covered with mud, so I've cleaned it all off, just give it a blast off. Nothing too fancy, just to see what it's like underneath, make sure we've got no hidden damage or scratches or anything. So like I said, it's a 2004 plate Mini Cooper 1.6 petrol. We bought this with the fees. It come out at £924, so that's including the fees. So we paid £750 on the hammer. The rest is buyer's indemnity fee, and there's an assured fee on there as well, I think about 10 quid. So yeah, 924 is the total this car's owes us. So let's have a quick look around it. So it looks quite a clean thing. We saw it in the auction as it went through. It did look smart and I wasn't too concerned about the bodywork, but if we get a bit close up and personal, I mean, it could do with just a little bit of a teacup just to make it look really, really nice. But in fairness, I am very, very happy with the condition of this. I mean, even just starting off at the wheels and that, they're just in good order, all of them are, and there's no major damage I can find on it. You know, there's a few little marks here like this here, but these are just scuffs. These will come out. If we buff this car up, it'll look $1 million. A few little watermarks on it, but we've got no damage to the panels. We've got no big scratches. I can't see any rot or corrosion. The handles are all good. The chrome's all right. The plastics are all good. The wheels are good. We've got good tyres on it. It's had decent tyres on it. I mean, they're land sales. Fine, they're not cheap. They're not brilliant tyres, but they're not cheap tyres either. You know, they're something mid-range they've gone for. You can just tell off the bat this car has definitely been looked after. And as we look at the service history in a minute, we can go cover a bit more in detail of what's been done to this, and it'll give you a better picture of the type of person that's owned this car. A little few bits that still want dressing. That number plate's a little bit faded. We could potentially change that, but it still would pass an MOT. Again, a couple of little scuffs here, but again, these will come out. They're only minor. They're not too bad. They're not gone down to the primer or the paint. So a good buff up of this with a mop, and this car will actually look really, really decent. Lights a little bit fade, the plastic on them, but you know, it's a 20-year-old car. We expect that. Again, a few little marks here, but again, they're only light. They'll buff out. The chrome strips there. The plastic's all there. A few little tiny marks there on that, but you know, how far do you go with something like this? For 20 years old, I am really complaining for the condition of this. Nice and clean on the quarter. The door's nice and straight. It's just a really nice, honest little car, this. And the alloys set it off perfectly. Nice alloy on them, nice and clean, not curbed up. Tyres are all decent. I said the back tyres look they look fairly new. Them land sales on them. Disc and pads don't look that old either. They've not been on more than a year or two. Front tyres, good 4mm on them. What are they? Falcons on them. Falcons are a decent mid-range tyre as well. So this hasn't been to cheap land, this car. It's been looked after. So there's a quick brief around it. I mean, because I say we've already seen it in the auction anyway, so we know it's not too bad on the body. But what's it like inside? Well, as we saw when we picked it up, we've got this rather peculiar interior. I mean, I quite like it, strangely. It's tan and black leather, but I mean, some people won't like it. Got a bit of the old salted caramel look to me, but I don't know, I think it's alright, to be fair. And I wasn't aware that it had this interior. I mean, I must have obviously looked at it when it went coming through, but it just sort of blanked my mind when I was after the Hammer bought it. I completely forgot that it had this interior in it. But it's not ugly. I mean, obviously it'll suit some people. Some people will like it, some people will hate it, but I don't think it's a bad thing. We've got one key with it. I'll have a look in the pack in a sec, but I don't think we've got any other keys with it. I say, but the key fob's in good order. It's not broken or anything like that, and we know the central locking's working as well, which is good. A couple of odd things. We've got bits in the door here. We've got some D-bushes here. They're rear D-bushes. I'll have a look, see if they won't fit in. I've not noticed anything on the drive back that made me worry if there's anything wrong with the rear, but they're there for a reason. So we'll have a look at that on the ramp in a bit. Interior, it wants a valet. I've got my muddy footprints on it as I brought it back. It's not been cleaned recently, let's put it that way. I'll get inside. So we know it starts up on the button. They've even left me just under half a tank of fuel, or titties we'd call it, in the car, which is nice of them. But as I say, starts on the button, absolutely sound as a pound, the engine. 130,000 miles, you know, yeah, it's a lot of miles for an old car, but you know, it is 20 years old. It's not particularly high mileage for a car that's nearly 20 years old, and it's got good history. I mean, we were told it had good history on the catalogue listing and the auction, but I mean, we have got a ruck of stuff there to go through in a minute. Stereo, not original, which is a shame, but it is there. It does work. It functions. It does operate. So that's good. At least it's all working. At least electric windows are all working. This is a 5-speed manual. Interior plastics are decent. It's the earlier model, so obviously we've got the speedo all in the middle there. It's just a nice thing for a car of this age. You can't really complain. I mean, the back, it wants a bit of a clean up. The wear on the plastic there. I wonder if there's had a kid seat in it or something. It's worn the plastic on that corner, which is a shame. If it was a black one or something, as in plastics, we could probably find one of them to replace it. But with it being this sort of odd colour, I mean, we can clean that up a little bit. A bit of G101 or something will probably bring that up a bit, but there is some scratches and marks to it. It's been caught. But at the end of the day, it's probably been used as a family car. What do you expect with a car that's got 130 up it and is 20 years old? So, quite pleased with this so far. History-wise, I mean, we've got a massive pack of history here. This has got service history up to 117,000 miles, according to the catalogue. We've got services in the book up to 13, so there must be in here a huge amount of history from that period. I mean, some of these has all been stamped out, which is good. So we've got the one there for a rocker cover gasket, ignition leads. What's this one for? Oh, £1,243. Gearbox. So it's had expected for vehicle for 5th gear selection gearbox noisy. Faulty gearbox internally. So it's had a brand new clutch and a gearbox overall. 541 quid for the gearbox overall, and then a clutch kit fitted. Wow, when was that done? That was done in, give me a date, 15th of September 2020. So what we're on there now, just over 2 years ago, this has had a brand new clutch and an overall gearbox put in it. It's probably been sent away, stripped down, put some new cogs and bearings in it. Brilliant. That is worth its weight in gold. My fear for this car, to be honest with you, was the gearbox, because I bought loads of these pre-2006 minis. They've started on Y51 plane, they went up to 2006, this shape, with the 1.6, 1.4, the old engine, the Chrysler derived engine it is. I'll talk about more about that in a minute, which was a good engine, but they suffered with noisy gearboxes. I had rucks of them over the years with noisy boxes, and they were quite expensive to fix back in the day. Not too bad now, a few £100 will buy you a decent box, but you know, it's an added expense, and with the margin in this car, had it needed a gearbox, that pretty much would have, you know, took all our profit out of it. We've left us a few £100 at best, and you'd had to have done it just to get out of it. That was my worry. But to have that, to say it's had reconditioned gearbox done and a new clutch in less than just over 2 years ago. That is brilliant. That is really, really good news. Other service history we've got here. Luckily it's all been stamped out so we can show it you. Service again, I was at 47. Another service, 182. Oh, there's just reams and reams of it. Another service there. There's loads. Obviously someone's been through this because they've stamped out all the names at the auction. So there obviously is services up to 117 as claimed. So all we've really got to do is just catalogue this up for when we're going to sell it. Do a service on it now because on 130, you know, it's going to need servicing again. To do a quick service isn't going to break the bank, let's face it. And then we're up to date. We can sell it with full history, with a gearbox rebuild done recently and a clutch. I mean, you don't get much better than that, to be honest. Right, let's have a quick look under the bonnet. Oh, bit stiff getting the bonnet up, we were there. Right, the old 1.6 mini engine. I think it was originally a Chrysler block engine. They used, built in Brazil or something. I can't remember the full story. I'm sure one of you guys in the comments will know. But it was quite a decent little engine from memory. Quite looked punchy, looked quite torquey. You know, it was an old school engine, but it did the job. It was a really good solid engine. It was more the gearboxes that were more the weak issue on this, not so much the engines. I had a few over the years that I've had gasket issues, don't get me wrong, but in fairness they did always repair, and they weren't always a disaster, to be fair. They were always quite a good engine to sort of look after and maintain. It's a quick flick of the oil. No, look at that, lovely and clean. You know, that is just a sign of a car that's been well serviced. I mean, according to this, it hasn't been serviced recently, but that oil doesn't even look that bad, to be honest. Anyway, I say coolant's nice and clean coolant in it. Good sign of the car being serviced. New coil pack on it there, but I was mentioning that in the service history. It's just a proper thing, this. Really like it. That radiator's been changed as well. That's not that old. It's only a few year old, that radiator. It's been looked after, this car, without any shadow of a doubt. Right, so I think it's safe to say that we've bought a decent looking car with decent history, but how does it drive? Because that is where it matters. If it doesn't drive right, then we're in trouble. Right, we're rigged up. Right, so now obviously I've driven this back from the auction to the workshop, so I'm not going to be into too many surprises. There is something wrong with this, which does need addressing. We're going to need to get on the ramp and have a look at, which I'll go on about in a sec. First of all, the clutch, absolutely spot on. Lovely, nice spike point. Gear selection's really nice. We're going for every gear. We've got no crunching. Everything on that side of it, as in engagement of gears and clutch, is perfect. We've got no issues, and why would we? Because obviously we've got that receipt now for the clutch and gearbox, which is a massive relief. Pull out this junction. Set off, engine pulls absolutely superb. Now I don't know if you're picking it up already. Grab a quick listen. We've got a lot of road noise inside the cab. Now that road noise is a wheel bearing, without any shadow of a doubt. It's a horrible droning noise. Also, I think the wheel bearing's probably got a bit of play in it as well, because not only is it, I think, will it be droning when we jack it up, but I think it'll have play up and down as well, because you can just feel it twitching on the suspension. The left hand side is sort of grabbing and pulling a little bit. So I suspect we've got quite a bit of play in that wheel bearing on the near side. Definitely needs changing, that does. But other than that, I'd have to say there's nothing else really alarming to me. The gearbox is good, the clutch is good, the engine's pulling's absolutely superb. I've got no real other knocks and bangs other than this wheel bearing on this left hand side. The steering's good, because they do suffer with steering rack problems, these, and columns are moving about. None of that, that's all in good order. You know, I mean, they are a bit rough and ride and a bit knocky and bouncy, these things. That's how they were from new. You know, they're not the most refined of vehicles. They're a mini, you know. They are a mini, that's what they're like. They are supposed to be a bit rough and ready. So I'd have to say, the way this drives, I am really impressed with it. Obviously we have got some issues we need to deal with, but I don't think it's going to be too much. I think we'll be able to keep the budget down on this. I can't see this needing a great deal of work, but we need to get it up in the air now. So we're going to get it back in the unit now, get it in the workshop. I'll jack it up, go underneath it, get a list together of what we're going to need to get it through an MOT, because we're going to want to put 12 months on it and sell it, and then go from there, and then we can work out what the total is and what it costs us, what we're going to need to spend on it, and crucially, what's it worth? What profit have we got potentially in this car? So let's get ourselves back to the workshop and get it on the ramp. I have to say, for a 2004 Mini, this is clean. I mean, even the engines, usually these are like oil leaks and everything. This is pretty decent. These arm bushes usually go on the back of the subframe, and they're solid. I mean, you usually hear when you're driving, they usually thud like hell, but no, they're, I mean, can't move them if I tried. So they've probably been done. I say we've got no real rot or anything like that. We've got a nice clean floor pan. A little bit of light corrosion on the bracket for there, for the fuel tank, but it's not really anything to worry about. Decent tyres on the back. Calipers are all nice and open where they should be. Even the springs on the back don't even look that bad. Let's jack it up and see what it's like on the front. Oh dear. Well, there's your problem, ladies and gentlemen. That wheel bearing is well and truly... Wow. Listen. Like thunder. Yeah, we definitely need a wheel bearing. No doubt about it. So, we've got the Mini on the ramp, I've checked it over, I'm going to go through now what we need to do to this car. So I've done a little bit of a pre-MOT on it, and to be honest with you, the only thing I can find wrong with this car that's going to stop us from getting it for an MOT is that wheel bearing. That is it. The wheel bearing is absolutely tainted on that near side front. It's falling apart and it needs changing ASAP. Now I've ordered one of them up, £30 for a new wheel bearing. That should be with us in a few days. We can just bolt that on and then the car will be absolutely perfect. We'll drive nice and straight. We've got to track it up as well. And that'll solve all our problems and it should run then all in a straight line, have no issues, no knocks or bangs. That's all we need to do to this car. I can't believe it didn't need anything else, because usually these things are a pain in the arse to try and get for MOTs. Every time I get one in, I always sort of wince a little bit because they're always going to be an issue. But this one's actually been really looked after. It's good underneath. There's all the usual common things you expect to find in it. Just have all been either been dealt with over the years or it's just been looked after and well maintained. Now the bushes on the back, there's a spare set of D bushes for the rear. Not actually anything wrong with the D bushes. I'm not quite sure why someone's bought them. Maybe they've been picked up on a service and someone's pointed out maybe they're a little bit perished or cracked. I mean, yeah, all right, fair enough, maybe they are a little bit, but there's certainly nothing wrong with them, and they're not something that you really need to be sort of looking to change. We might just throw them on anyway, just for the sake of it, because they are there. You might as well use them while we're there. So we'll whack them on as well. Other than that, a service kit, that's basically all we need to do to it. Give it a quick service, get it up to date on that side of it, and once we've done that, that is pretty much it. Wheel bearing service, a quick valet and a polish up, and this car will be ready for sale. So what sort of money are we expecting to get for this car? What's its value? Well, I've had a quick look on Auto Trader. I've been looking in sort of a 60 to 100 mile radius, trying to gauge really what sort of pricing you'll get for a sort of 19-year-old Mini like this. For this Mini Cooper, I would expect it probably to be in the region of about £1,700. There's a few cars on there between sort of 1,500 and 2,000. I think 2,000 may be a bit of an ask for this, purely because there's cars in that barrier that have sort of got a bit less miles on them and a little bit newer. So I think we'll be pushing it there for that sort of vehicle. But the vehicle's less than that, I think this one's better. There's a lot of cars there that are sort of old Cat Ds and Cs. They're not really worth sort of comparing against. And other things around this age, maybe a little bit less money, but they're not got the history to back it up. This has got real comprehensive history and been looked after, and with that sort of gearbox receipt there for the gearbox and clutch being done on it in the last 2 years, that's just going to be absolute gold dust for anyone wanting to buy this car. It's going to give proper reassurance and me reassurance that I can sell it. So spend wise on it, we spent £924 on the car. That's the car itself was £750 plus the auction fees, £924 out the door, and then we spent £30 on a wheel bearing which we ordered off eBay, and then obviously we're going to spend about £30 on a servicing kit as well. That's pretty much it. Valeting it, we'll do it ourselves. To be honest with you, it's not too bad. I can give it a quick shampoo up and a bit of a clean and give it a good buffing over with the mop, and that's pretty much it. It'll be ready for sale. So we can safely say this car is going to owe us less than £1,000, which gives us a nice chunk of margin, £700 potential profit in it, minus maybe an advert for Auto Trader or somewhere like that, depends where we list it. So we've got a nice margin in there, but it could have been very different if we picked this car up and it had a whiny gearbox or head gasket issue or anything like that, or a steering rack issue, common things that can go on these minis. That pretty much would have ate all our budget up, would have been left with very little profit in it and a lot of work for very little return. I think £1,700 is probably right for this. I don't think we can get much more than that, but people may disagree. If you disagree, if you think this is worth more or less, let me know in the comments. Well, that's what we're going to do with it, guys. I think that's a fair margin in it for what it is and for very little work as well. So it's been a good result, this one. A good buy from the auction. Hopefully we can win a few more cars like this out of the auction going forward. Anyway, thanks for watching this one, guys. Please like and subscribe to the channel if you haven't already done so. If you haven't checked out my other videos, please do so. And I'll see you all very, very soon.